Good day. This is Ben Markens, President of Paperboard Packaging. I'd like to spend a few minutes to give you a brief overview of the value proposition for our principal or converter members. PPC has a twofold mission. The first is to be the voice of the industry at Wall Street and on sustainability. And for this reason, we represent folding cartons and paperboard packaging at the Walmart Packaging Steering Committee. Our second goal is to give members information, tools, meetings, and other things that they need in order to compete more effectively. I'll give you a few examples in just a moment. PPC has a target of having 80 principal or converter members that represent 80% of the industry. As I speak today, in December of 2010, we have about 75 principal members, which represent about 75% of our industry. We'd like to add you as a principal member in order to get closer to our goal. There are two membership options. There's the supplier or associate option, which is at the bottom. This webinar is not for them necessarily, though they are an important part of our association. We're focused today on principal or converter members, those companies that make and sell folding cartons, rigid boxes, and other forms of folding cartons, and other forms of paperboard packaging in North America. One of the key elements of our value proposition for principal members are our industry data reports. I'll show you a few just to give you an idea. Pardon me while the screen moves. So one of our most important offerings is what we call the Trends Report. There is third-party economic analysis by a company called RISI, who does more economic analysis and forecasting in the paper industry than anyone else on the planet. And they give our members about an 80-page document which looks at things like what's the forecast for folding carton shipments in tons and in dollars and an average value per ton. We also look at many economic indicators, but the ones that I am most interested in are what you'll see on your screen now, which is box board production by category. You'll see bleached, recycled, and unbleached, and you can see the number of tons from 2007 all the way to 2013. Critical importance to understand the size of our market and so on. In addition, we look at 17 end-use markets, which include beverages, milled grains, confection, other types of food, as you can see, frozen foods, meats, and so on. I'm moving fairly quickly just to give you an idea. Health and beauty aids, pharma, hardware, paper products, and so on. We examine all of these end uses that you see scrolling past you on the screen here, and we try to give our members as well detailed information about what's going to happen in those markets. And we do that by doing specific research and giving folks tools in order to understand what's going on in the 17 end-use markets. I'd be happy to discuss in greater detail how that works. This document in total is about 135 pages, and it is of great use to our members. Let me switch now to the next critical document. We do on a monthly basis what's called the Market Flash Report. In this report, we have about 80% of the market. We look at year-over-year growth in shipment dollars and in shipment tonnage. This is the September 09 report. The current report is available to members and participants only. We look at shipments, and then we look at changes in materials and in raw materials. And you can see down here at the bottom where the raw materials are. We look at month-over-month change, year-over-year change, and since the beginning of the year change. Very important to understand your position in the industry. Another critical document that we do is we do what we call our safety box score. That is where our members supply information that they already have from the OSHA 300 report, and that shows how long they've been without an incident. We give awards for the most and best, highest performing companies in our industry. We'd love to have you participating in that as well. Statistics in that are quite detailed by type and so on. On an annual basis, we do what's called the Performance Report for Management. This is a 50-page report which has about 50 participants. We look at every line item on the financial statement and on the balance sheet, and then we give 100-odd pages of data, and from that we give an individual company report. This is, as you can see in this column, company X is shown. That would be your company, and then into 3 separate categories. Net sales, which is broken into 4 blocks. Materials, also broken into 4 blocks. And wages, broken into 4 blocks. When you see this for your individual company, the blue and yellow are to indicate areas where you are strong or weak. and then because we have the multiple categories, it's easy for you to understand how you compare to other companies. So this is an annual report. On a quarterly basis, we do a similar thing using only 7 numbers, and we call this the quarterly performance report. And you can see here on this page that we look at things like sales increase, gross margin increase, earnings, EBITDA, turns in inventory, receivable, and payables. And then you get a score, your company compared to the average, better or worse. Easy to do, quick to get. Another important report that our members have asked us for and that we have delivered is looking at wages in key statistics. This is a dummy report. It's separated in a geographic region. If you were company XYZ, these would be your actual numbers, and these would be numbers of people in your region: low, median, mean, and high. And we look at 3 positions in the office as well. In 2010, we added sales compensation, salary bonus, and so on to see how that works. We do what's called our business sentiment report. This is fashioned on a report that came out of Europe some time ago, and the data you'll see in the blue line here is from our European friends, ECMA, European Carton Makers Association, and PPC Data is in green. They've been doing it longer than we have, and we have ramped onto their document. It looks at things like orders, future, past, present. It looks at pricing, which is all of this has been vetted by PPC's legal counsel, so it is all appropriate to show. We rolled out just recently OEE, Operation Overall Equipment Effectiveness. This is a great way to compare yourself to other companies, and OEE is a thing that our companies have asked for, and our industry information committee has asked us to go forward with, and so we have. So those are just a few of the sample reports. I'd be happy to go over them with you in great detail. In addition to these reports, we have many other reports that we can discuss with you, including we just ramped up this year to do a waste survey where we look at by process waste in printing, cutting, and gluing. We, as I just mentioned, rolled out OEE, and later this year we're going to be running a true cost model. This will be the 3rd or 4th iteration where participants look at information for the same estimates and compare line items of cost. Having your information would be great, and I think you would find it useful to see how you compare. In addition to, there's other data, but in addition to the data, we hold several forums and workshops. On an annual basis, we have forums for financial executives and for human resource executives. They generally overlap, and they are designed to have folks network who are in similar positions at converting companies. We have our technical forums about every 8 months. We just concluded one in November where we looked at best practices in gluing, best practices as a result of web printing, looked at color management and digital asset management, and we did a plant tour of a local company. It was there were about 40 participants and very well received. Twice a year we do Folding Carton Boot Camp. This is designed for folks in the office, estimators, customer service. It's also designed for salespeople who may not know as much about our industry as they ought. And it's a pretty good primer. Starts at the trees and ends at the automatic packaging machine. We have 2 annual conferences a year. Many people find these the most important part of our value proposition, though we think they're an important part, not necessarily the most important part. In the spring, we generally have an outlook and strategies conference where we look at trends that are happening and things that companies need to do differently to work on their businesses. And if we are going to give our Lifetime Achievement Award, Robert Garrow Award, it will be given at the spring meeting. Generally well attended. I'm pleased to report that the last 5 meetings have had record attendance at each meeting. As I speak, our next meeting will be March 16 to 18, 2011 in San Diego, California. We just recently concluded our fall meeting. The fall meeting was held in Memphis, Tennessee. A wonderful program. We had very highly rated speakers, and we also had very much the record attendance, as I just previously mentioned. A key element of our value proposition is our national packaging competition. I'll show you some of the winners from this year. The competition will take place in the fall, beginning in 2011. So we had about 110 entries, about 80 of which won awards. I'll show you the top 4. Our Sustainability Award, which we call the Eco Award, was done by Midwest Vaco, where they married 2 substrates, I believe a 17-point and a 24-point, at glue speed in order to reduce total fiber but not give up any structural integrity. This was our Innovation Award. In case you can't see it, what happens is this box is designed to turn upside down and go behind the towel bar in a bathroom and have hand towels fresh every time. Won the Innovation Award. Our Rigid Box of the Year was this DVD collection which opens out and showcases all the DVDs. This was our Folding Carton of the Year. The ribbon you see was applied again at glue speed, and the judges were very impressed with that. And then the judges were left with a very hard choice between the Folding Carton of the Year and the Rigid Box of the Year, and the Paperboard Packaging Award was given to that Rigid Box, the CD-DVD collection I mentioned previously. PPC is made up of its standing committees. These committees run the association. Staff is there to provide the glue and give information to folks between them. Industry information, well named. It's the committee which decides which data reports we'll do. Marketing and communications is organized around marketing folding cartons and communicating to the public the benefits of our substrate and our package. Government affairs. While we don't do much lobbying, we do listen for weak signals on Wall Street, and we keep our members apprised. We work with sister organizations in order to do lobbying on a very minimal basis. Technical and production are the folks that organize the program for the meeting I mentioned previously. Human resources, same thing. They're organized around getting things going. Rigid Box is a community of interest at PPC, specifically organized the needs for our Rigid Box members. New generation leaders meet twice annually at our fall meeting and spring meeting to discuss topics on management, to network, and to discuss common interests and common needs. And then, of course, sustainability, an important topic for both our industry and our association. We have a sustainability task force, which gives us leading thoughts and helps direct our response to industry needs. So briefly, what can you expect from us? You can expect us to run a very well-run organization, to listen to members, to be member-driven, to provide more value to you as a member than you invest in us as dues. So we very much would like you to join us. What we ask you to do, we think about this as a ship. We ask you to come and take an oar and row, and if you come and row, we will let you help steer the ship. So I thank you. I would welcome an opportunity to speak to you directly and to go into more detail about the value proposition. But thank you very much for your interest. You can reach me at area 413-686-9191 or my email ben@ppcnet.org. Thanks very much. Good day.